friend here. It will be recorded down as I go through the different things about Sarawak politics in relation to his study. So Mr. Anish is from Singapore. I'm from Sarawak here as a director of his institute, as well as a research fellow in NEMAS. Okay, so our expertise is more on Chinese studies, Chinese Sino chair, etc. We're glad to be interviewed by Mr. Anish.
So thank you very much, Dr. Boon, for agreeing to do this interview and taking your time out to meet me. So this interview will definitely be used for the purpose of my PhD dissertation. So as you know, I'm doing a PhD in political science from Heidelberg University in Germany, and part of my research actually involves the politics of Malaysia, and I'm here to study the East Malaysian aspect, because I think illusion many people face is that they think that Malaysia means West Malaysia, and they often forget what East Malaysia. They don't even think of this as Malaysia. So let me start. My first question, Dr. Boon, is that can you briefly explain to me the political history and ideology of the SUPP?
All right, SUPP was the earliest party formed in Sarawak in 1959. 3 years or 4 years actually before Malaysia was formed in 1963. Right? So 1959 we were under the colonial regime, British colonial administration, and it was towards the end where Sarawak was trying to fight for self-independence in the midst of confrontation from Indonesia. So this is the backdrop. 1959, it was formed, and it was a multiracial party. It was the first one, followed by others. So this is the background. We are moving throughout Sarawak here, from first division and to the 5th division then.
So the SUPP won the 2016 Sarawak election as part of the BN coalition, and the 2016 was the last election where SUPP was still part of the BN, and in 2018 BN lost in the general election. So could you please explain to me the process of the SUPP's exit from BN and the formation of the GPS coalition?
I don't know exactly what you're talking about factually. Okay, in the 70s, SUPP was in the early 70s and late 60s we were in the opposition. Okay, SUPP or Sarawak United People's Party was in the opposition. Okay, under then Barisan Nasional or National Front. Okay, but we rejoined. SUPP joined back as a government party, as a pro-government party, and becomes what we form that Barisan Nasional. Okay, so this fact must be there. Yeah? Well before 220, later on 20, what is that? 2018 when GPS was formed, we were already pro-federal, pro-government. Okay, in other words, Barisan Nasional was taken over by other parties, other coalition parties. So Sarawak is still with the government. So when Sarawak started GPS is only for Sarawak, 4 parties then, still now. So these 4 parties will join any pro-federal government, especially to maintain stability and so on, right? So there are 2 parts. Yeah, maybe you're not very familiar. There are 2 parts, right? SUPP has been always trying to be Sarawak based, pro Sarawak, and then later pro-federal because we want political stability. And the first coalition, as you know, in Malaya, then 1957, Malaya and Singapore got independent. Then there was already some multiracial party or multi-party system, right? And then later on in 1957, Tunku Abdul Rahman, the father of Malaya, as well as father of Malaysia, was also forming a multi-party coalition. Okay. Then after that, in 1963, Tunku Abdul Rahman becomes the father of Malaysia. He also started the Barisan Nasional, etc. The coalition. Okay, coalition, and later on, after 1969, we have the Barisan Nasional or what we call National Front. So the coalition actually started well before our independence in Malaya. And if you look further, there is one federation, seemingly federation, where perhaps our forefathers, including Tunku Abdul Rahman, got its inspiration from. That is Negeri Sembilan. Negeri Sembilan has 9 steps, as the word says, Sembilan. Sembilan elders, 9 heads. And now they have the young mulia, I would say. Yang Tuan Besar. So as the head of Negeri Sembilan. So that was the first maybe inspiration of having a pre-modern government under Adat Temenggung and so on. They form a coalition or federation, and that leaves a legacy for whole Malaysia right to this point. Right? Some argue that it's from England, some argue that it's Adat Negeri Sembilan. I would say Adat Negeri Sembilan was the first stage. If you like British, they have a different way of federation.
No, but coming to the formation of GPS, so could you explain what was the main reason that GPS had to be formed?
GPS Gabungan Parti Sarawak was formed 2018, as you said, was a result of power struggle over there in Malaya in particular. And Sarawak SUPP, PBB being the head, right, the biggest, PBB, SUPP, PBP, as well as PBDS. These 4 parties, they are earlier parties, and they are together as under Adnan Settem, our beloved Chief Minister then, started the movement to galvanize our own Sarawak parties as opposed to the West Malaysian politics. Alright, so it was and still it's very successful because Sarawak has its own unique political landscape. So the difficult is to work with West Malaysia if we were to assimilate all their political weapons or factors. Sarawak has its own, especially we under Malaysia Agreement 1963, we have our Malaysian or Sarawak autonomy. So we have a state list, we have a Sarawak autonomy, and we are a bit behind in terms of development. So easily Sarawak GPS was formed and was throughout the elections, especially the state election, GPS scored big high marks. Many constituencies were won. So this is how GPS has become very strong and well loved, and people accept it. And it is a multi-party and consisted of the old parties actually. PBB was the biggest, and it's a communal party in that only Bumiputera can enter, can become members. And then SUPP is a multiracial where all races can go in. And then you have SPDP also multiracial with and then PBDS and so on, the other group also being multiracial, but all have their racial base. Chinese, like SUPP, Chinese base, and so on. So GPS as a whole is an extremely multiracial party, creative in that sense to suit Sarawak political landscape and stability, as well as harmony, in face of West Malaysian politics, in face of important West Malaysian politics as its own character. Correct.
Yeah. So I mean, you spoke about the political history of Sarawak, but you know, if you look at the same political history, the current Premier of Sarawak, Abang Jo, Adnan Satin, and Abdul Tadib before that was Chief Minister for 32 years, I guess, for the period of 32 years, and throughout the history, this parties coming in the GPS, they are still there. I mean, the Chief Minister of the Premier comes from the
PBB.
PBB. Sorry about that. The PBB and
Parti Bersatu, Parti
Bumiputra
Bersatu.
Bersatu. Yeah, and since so my question to you is that since the defeat of the BN at the centre in 2018, would you say that there has been any regime change in Sarawak?
What's the word again?
Regime change. Do you think in Sarawak there's been any regime change?
My answer is yes and no. All right. I say this because if it's yes, then there is an inner change, inner regime change, right?
Inner regime change.
Which is not a small matter as well of Sarawak, but generally no, the regime change, okay? Because there is a continuation from old times until here. So it is a family change, inner regime change, and it's not as drastic. It's just an adjustment here and there, and then because you have to put ourselves in different eras, different federal government again, and our political development just in Sarawak itself because of the economy and maybe educational levels have been raised, and then you have rural development versus urban development. They are rapid and things have changed. So there will be some inner regime change, inner change we call it. So changes is inevitable for the good of Sarawak. Bigger regime change, or you say outwardly, I would not say so because there is a tradition that was followed down till today, especially in Sarawak. Sarawak under our different prime minister, under Kalong Lingkang, our first one, and then Tawis Lee, second one, both are Ibans. Then we have Abdul Yaakob, and as well as Taib Mahmud. They are both Melanaus, but they are Muslim as well. Then we have later Adnan Satin, which is Abang Jo, which are Malays. So you can see that there are no regime change, but there are inner changes for the good of Sarawak. And then especially rural development, I feel strongly about Sarawak is as big as whole Malaya. So there is a lot of geographical challenges as well as resource challenges. So in terms of development, we are far behind. So there is inevitably there will be some changes politically because of the economic changes. So this will argue well for the future if there is harmony, stability, whoever is in the state government. See? So just another point is that state government of Sarawak has been multiracial as well, and also state government machinery in terms of civil service also multiracial, although there are rooms to be improved. rooms for improvement. It's always like that as era changes, as changes comes along. Yeah. Especially now we have globalization, we have internationalization, as well as federalism. Is our Malaysian federalism.
So you mentioned this point about family change. Can you please elaborate on it? You said that there's a family change.
Oh, I see Sarawak as a family. All right. If you look closely, why I say family, there are multiracial or multicultural. It's extremely multicultural. It's a model for the world actually. This is a topic by itself that is very, very, very important. Actually, not for us to maintain to not for others to model after. So, as you know, families, we do have a family atmosphere. We have intermarriages, for example. We can see some spouses of our great leaders, including Abdul Rahman Yaakob, Taib Mahmud, as well as Abang Jo, even different persons I didn't mention. They are having cross-cultural marriage, intermarriages, just as leaders, let alone the people down there. You can see Bidayus are marrying the Chinese, Chinese marry the Malays, etc. And also you can see Onalu coming down. They're married and they have livelihood. Another important factor is multi-religious society. Okay, Sarawak has the biggest population in terms of Christianity. Okay, Christianity. So you can imagine a church whereby all the races go to worship together and marry together. I can quote you hundreds of examples, and the young peoples now even more so. They treat each other like brothers and sisters, and then a lot of mixed blood already, among Sarawakians, right? So this is the family atmosphere I want to stress on. Then, as family, we of course have some differences, a bit of quarrels perhaps. So this is normal, but at the end of the day, we are still a family, right? But in terms of family interchange, or you call it regime change, that's why I said it's a family, For example, in Abdul Rahman Yaakob's time, the regime change is actually family to Taib Mahmud, who take over. They are uncle and nephew, is that relationship? And then correct. And then there are, of course, this is family, some difference, and then together inter-parties as well. SUPP, you can see many Malays as well, etc. And the leaders like Ong Kiew Hui, they mix along very well with other parties since 1959 or even well before that. Then there is a lot of changes within the SUPP party itself. Okay, PBB was formed later, after two parties merged. SUPP maintained the same. Other parties, like our Dayak communities, which is the biggest, they form their parties as well. So all these I see as a family politics. Like brother and younger brothers and sisters, father, mother, uncle. They do have some differences. Maybe I like to quote some interesting thing in my field. I went to rural. For example, I go to Syria, for example. Okay, first division. Sorry, now it's under Samarahan. Used to be the forefathers of Bidayu. They were in the mountain top there, running away, getting away from all the dangers, including human invasion, from all other harms and dangers. So they stay there. But before long, the hilltop or the mountain top was limited in space. So that family, that tribe, has to go down somewhere to plant, to survive, and to to procreate, become bigger. So they have different villages, kampongs. So at the same, they have different heads, and they form a bit of their own subcultures, differences, different way of life, slightly different. Maybe they have different religious affiliation now, right? And so it was from the different culture in the mountain top down, etc. They change as a family. In politics itself, politics as well, I see that as whoever was in the mountain top, eventually they gave way to other people, and you can see many other political points, political way see things growing up, and different leaders coming up. They do have differences and challenges each other, and all this is through our family elections. We fight it against each other. Okay, of course there are some not so nice. In the fight there is sometimes there are not nice.
Family elections, meaning you're talking about the elections within the political party or among the.
Yeah, within the party itself,
Within
like what I
SUPP,
say, PBB, SUPP as well, PBDS as well. All our family members, their own families, they have their political
Internal
saga. Is normal because this is a democratic processes.
Exactly.
But later on, when you have inter-party, the same things go. Okay, and then you have later on, inter-party coalition, family, they do have coalition as well. So at the end, when we joined Malaysia in 1963, there is even more coalition. And later on, as we go on, ASEAN and so on, we are sort of a family as well. The good feelings and cooperation, and I would say harmony and love for each other is very much felt and there. We can all feel. Yeah.
So coming back to the SUPP, who are the main vote bank of the SUPP? The support base, the main support base.
SUPP support base. Okay. Right. As 1959, if you can see some of the pictures, maybe I can show you some of the pictures. You can see that you see all these pictures, all these pictures. Can you say that? All these pictures show that it's very multiracial. Okay, multiracial party. We have Orang Ulu coming all down, Dayak, Ibans. Even today, we still have seen multiculturalism in SUPP. Right? So that was the best. But eventually, after 1963, there is some realization among the Dayak and among the Malays. They need to fight for their own cause. Yeah. So SUP become Chinese based. Okay. But nevertheless, we have many MPs who are still with SUPP, like our Dr. Richard Uyot, and also Dr. Francis Harding, to name just a few. They are the classic example of loyalty to multiculturalism in Sarawak.
So you're trying to say that after the Dayak community decided to fight for their own cause, then it was only the Chinese that was left in the SUPP.
Yeah, in a way, yes. SUPP has gone through a lot of political changes. Okay, so 1959, they championed political change in Sarawak, taken over fighting against the concept of Malaysia. In 1963, they actually still retained the cause, but then they lost the support. So some facts tell us that 2/3 pro-Malaysia, 1/3 that is mainly from SUPP, anti-Malaysia. We don't want Malaysia then. SUPP. Though later on, we have SUPP accepted the fact so that we have a Malaysian family, a Malaysian country now. We must work together for the Chinese, for all the races. It must be noted then, the Chinese then, since 1959, 63, or even earlier on, in the Brooks regime, as well as under British administrative government, they were the economic movers. They do business, they help to develop Sarawak. So Chinese is sort of pioneers in many, especially in economic terms for Sarawak, as well as in education, other things, you see. So SUPP was actually very multiracial until, like what you said, we lost some of the support. Not to lose the support in that sense. We are still in the family in National Front or alliance or coalition, but we have to. I believe, like what I observe is that our interracial relations work much better when we have understanding and support from our own race, own people. See, it's like Bidayu in the first division. They know they have their language, their own culture. They know best what to do with their own Bidayus in Syrian and Spaoud. And likewise in second division, third division, we have a lot of Ibans. They know they have a longhouse culture, their eldership culture. So it's just that they are also the majority. So they are also have a different way of life. The Coastal Malays have their own way of life. They are from Brunei as well as other Nusantara towns in Borneo and Southeast Asia. So their way of life is very, very different, and they know their way of governing themselves. And Chinese came in since 19th century, so they do have their culture being along. So how do they take care of themselves? How do they know their own well-being and advancement? That's the best they can do it on their own. You have Orang Ulu as well, the Kenyah Kayan, Lumbawang, etc. All these people are in the mountain top, the Bario Klabit, many other tribes. The latest tribe is Vai, V-A-I-E, accepted in 2022. They were from Nia Cave. You heard about the older Nia Cave. So still research are made of them. They used to be under Melanda, but they want to form their own race called Vai. So you can see Sarawak is very much different from other people. We SUPP grown up from here. You bring them together. Later on, they they are in a way politically being enlightened. They do their own thing with the help of the previous governments, including the colonial governments. Then we have a very much diverse political landscape. I think that is good, very good. It becomes a festival, a celebration of democratic processes in Sarawak, in the context of multiculturalism.
So you mentioned that the elites or
Excuse me.
Sarawak,
stop.
yeah.